What's good, everybody? It's the KB Show.
That's not what we're called.
No?
This is the Breezy Briefs Show. Come
Well,
on,
it's
Malik.
KB and KB. It's the Breezy Briefs Show now. We make it whatever we want. It's a new segment we trying out. My name
It
is...
says it on my fucking screen, Malik.
I'm sorry, you put 2 red and 1 green, all right? I know red mean bad and green mean go, but we about to, go with the flow. So this is the Breezy Briefs Show, a new segment we're working on between myself, King Breezy, and my colleague, Kachada Briefs. What's up, Kachada?
What's up, everybody? What is up?
So we'll see how this goes, but for the time being, this will be pretty much a random topic, but predominantly fighting game or FGC related or gaming news. But
Gaming news in general.
Gaming news in general. So there are certain topics that me and Kachada have in mind that we like to talk about or we're passionate about that don't pertain to a lot of things that we covered in SFSW back in the day that may end up on this podcast. So if you have any suggestions, please put them down below in the comment section or in Twitch chat or wherever you end up finding this, on Spotify. If you end up listening to that version, I end up posting later down the road. This is completely a new segment we're trying it out, so any criticism is good criticism at this point. So Dustin,
Hell yeah.
if you'd like to segue us into our next segment or our first segment of this new show, feel free, bro.
Alright, so our first segment, going with the fighting games like we said we were going to talk about. The Riot fighting game. I think it was like a week or 2 ago now. We got like footage of it, I guess.
Pretty much half a month ago.
But yeah.
We got about a tweet's worth, a small snippet.
Yeah, a
of
small
gameplay.
like 3-second clip of the game.
Pretty much back at EVO 2019. Certain members of the Riot team were at Evolution, the fighting game.
It was one of the cannons.
One of the cannons showed up at the largest fighting game tournament in the world, in Las Vegas, and they were talking to both Sajam and Tasty Steve, and they mentioned that they may have something for the audience to talk about or share with them, and they mentioned a fighting game developed by Riot Games. So later on, we finally got confirmation that that game is actually happening and it is in development. However, it's fairly early on in development. So what we saw was maybe about 30 seconds worth of footage on top of a bunch of other projects that Riot Games is working on, because Riot now wants to work on things that aren't just mobile related. We want them to branch out and do things besides League. It's essentially the whole entire video.
They want to take over.
I don't know about takeover, but Blizzard definitely shot themselves in the foot as of late. So, it could be a takeover.
But yeah, we saw maybe like 2 special moves worth of footage, I guess. We saw it was at least Darius. We saw his I don't know if it was like an uppercut, but he grabbed him with the axe or whatever. And then we saw Jinx with a minigun shooting multiple shots. That's as much footage as we saw, but
yeah, Garen.
It's more like hypothetical stuff of what we think this game is gonna do. Which, first question for you, Malik.
Okay.
Do you think it's going to be free to play?
I actually don't think it'll be free to play. I'd be surprised if it is. I can see the argument for this game being free to play, but to me, fighting games that are free to play never really bode well. Excuse me, because you typically, whenever it's a free to play fighting game, I feel like the company has not fully put their best foot forward, and they're expecting the community to show passion for the game, to put more effort into it. And when you have the Cannon brothers, who are known for working on GGPO and are very passionate about fighting games, working on the project, I think at that point you have to go all in and prove that Riot Games can make a legitimate fighting game that's worthy of being respected, rather than just being some side game that has League characters in it. I don't think Riot is going for a game that that they want to disregard 9 months later. I think they actually want this to be a platform that they could add later champions down the road that they've clearly been working on nonstop. So my only issue when I look at the game from a UI standpoint, I don't know, I'm going to segue into the way the game looks from the tweets that we saw and a little bit of footage that's been unveiled. I immediately thought of the fighting game called Rising Thunder, and that was a fighting game that came out back in 2017, I believe, or late 2017, early 2018, and it was a PC fighting game where certain special moves were attached to mouse inputs or keyboard inputs, and at that point it was designed in a way to integrate people or slowly inclimate them into the FGC bit by bit by dumbing down, not necessarily dumbing down, but I'm gonna say that for lack of a better term, dumbing down the different inputs that you can do for a special move. So looking at the UI, it looks a lot like the game Rising Thunder. If you've never seen that game before, please look it up. It was a pretty good game. Just a lot of people dropped it after a little bit of time because the meta didn't really progress in the way most people expected it to be. But it was still a solid title. But because Rising Thunder's meta shifted the way it did and people stopped talking about it after a certain amount of time, I was really concerned that it's the same thing that would happen to the Riot fighting game down the road. So I want this game to do well because I feel like this would be really good for the FGC to evolve and indoctrinate a lot of new players, similar to how Smash Bros incorporates a lot of new player bases into different fighting games, because eventually, after spending much of that time dedicating to a new game, eventually someone's going to want to try a new game in the same realm. Just, looking at Smash Bros players coming to Evolution or any other major tournament, and they may have to share the venue with another fighting game platform, they might end up sharing the same passion or trying a new game. And I think that would be really good for everyone in general.
See, I want it to be free, like free to play, just because I want to see how it would work in a fighting game. Like, we know how it works in MOBAs, Fortnite, shit like that.
Yeah.
But I want to see how it would work in a fighting game. I want to see how the FGC would react to it.
Yeah.
'Cause, I would say the FGC is pretty old school in the way they think about games. We gotta pay $60 for it, just like every other game. Stuff like that, right? The FGC's full of a lot of old heads. We'll say that.
We got a lot of dads up in here.
Yeah, we got some dads in the FGC, and I just wanted to see how they would react to change this game's free to play, but you gotta pay for the characters, which you already gotta do in all these other fucking games that are DLC. But okay, you gotta pay for each character, and if there's in League and Dota and Smite, a rotation of fighters that go change every week, I think it would just be an interesting concept to try and put in a fighting game. Because
so my thing is, how do you at that point justify a rotation in a fighting game? Because rotating in a MOBA, when you have a decent amount of gods, champions, challengers, or whatever you want to call it for your MOBA, when you have that a large pool of different characters that all follow the same archetype, it's a lot easier to justify rotating out a jungler for another jungler that has a different
yeah.
But when you have a fighting game, you're not gonna have 17 grapplers to pull from. If you do a rotation, now you run the risk of okay, now you have 4 shadows in the rotation, and no zoners, no grapplers, no hybrid fighters, none of that. So I feel like you missed out on the beauty of especially since this is a 2D fighting game. This isn't a 3D fighter. This isn't a platform fighter. It's very much akin to, as far as we know from what we can see, it's pretty much the template of a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter 2-esque fighter, where 2 players are facing in front of each other on either side, left or right of the screen, and they have their own toolkit, and their special moves at some point, or some form of resources that each character can pull from, are on the screen at the bottom of each character's UI. So at that point, I feel like there's not a whole lot you could do without inventing a new system in mind, which would be really cool. But from what we can tell, there's nothing that groundbreaking going on with the UI to justify saying there's a whole new system set in place for this game. To say that if I like playing grapplers, or let's say someone's never played a 2D fighter before, this may be their first 2D fighting game, because a lot of Riot game players might only have played League or heard of Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter,
or what Team
Fortress 2, or I don't know.
No, what's it called?
What are you talking about?
What's it called? Team Fight Tactics.
Team Fight Tactics, okay, stuff like that.
That's another Riot game that's based on League, I guess, but.
This could be their first exposure, you know what I mean? Cherry popping going on,
Yeah, I'm not saying I want it to be like that, of course. I would prefer it just be, $60 game, have, 20, 25 characters to start with, have a big roster to start with, because from what I can tell now, most games are kind of doing the oh, we only got 12 people to start with, and it's kind of like, all right, well, that's not great.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, I wouldn't say I would be fine with it being a $60 purchase, because I'm not too sure if Riot. That's a big undertaking. Is doing justifying a fighting game in general to be $60 is tough. It's really, really tough. Like, you got to look at. I think the only fighting game, modern fighting game, that we have to look at that could justify a $60 purchase is Mortal Kombat. Every other fighting game that's tried to justify the $60 purchase hasn't really gone that well. There was some form of controversy, like BB Tag was, oh my gosh, before the game is even out, why are you announcing 20 like DLC characters? That's not cool. Street Fighter 5 had trash netcode, half the legacy characters weren't there. Like, it didn't look that great. Ken had banana hair. Chun-Li had like weird physics going on. You know, Vega had a glitch where he was flying to the sky to infinity. There was a lot going on to each of these modern fighting games. Like, Tekken 7 wasn't released stateside until its second version, technically.
NDCI sucked.
NDCI on a fundamental level as a game functioned well, but there was a lot of controversy around the game that make it to the point where nobody could have positive.
Chun-Li looked ugly.
Chun-Li looked ugly. Nobody could have a positive opinion about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite without it being toxic.
That's a whole nother topic.
You know, that's a whole. We could actually cover that a whole nother day, another episode. But I digress. So at that point, I feel like Riot would have to really buckle down to get a $60 worth fighting game out into the market, which I don't think they could do, considering how many other projects they announced simultaneously along with the final fighting game that they're also putting equal work into. And I don't know the scope of the team that they're working with, how large the team is, and how many different teams they've spread apart on each project, and how many people will be coming in and out between the workflow of each project. So I think at that point it would be safer to assume this would be maybe like a $35 game. And once we get past 40, that's kind of pushing it. I feel like 40 is that nice price point where I could see a Riot game player, like someone who really respects and trusts Riot Games to make a solid platform, could justify spending $40 on. Anything more than that, I don't see someone spending more than $40 on their first fighting game. I want this to be. I don't want to put too much of my own putting meals, but like, I want this to be something that this could be, quote unquote, baby's first fighting game. This is something that has no pressure for you to try. We just want you to dip your toes into the water, into the pool, to see if the water is not toxic. If there's no sharks in this water, no one's gonna kill you. You can try a quarter circle, and it's okay if you don't get it on the first try. You know. Yeah. I want this to be something that people can learn fundamentals of a fighting game about and give it a shot. Similar how Smash Bros has a very casual air to it. That's why it has so many sales and it's finally broken the record of all the other Smash titles, is because Smash Bros has that perfect, I can play this with a friend group at any age demographic in any space, and it's a safe space where I could learn to play Mario, I can learn to play Cloud, and no one's gonna get mad at me if I don't play Cloud at an optimal level or at a top tier competitive level.
I will say the one thing that was Project L, I guess is what it's called right now, because everything has a project name. The fighting game is Project L for Riot has going for it is it's gonna have, hopefully, should be great fucking netcode.
Fingers crossed. Anything can happen.
All right, so if you guys don't know, the Cannon brothers, who are the head directors of this project, made a netcode called GGPO, which is hailed as some of the best netcode that's ever existed in video games in general, I guess. If you haven't played Skullgirls uses GGPO netcode, which you never have issues online, basically. And if they're the directors on the project, before all this, right when the project started getting announced, they made GGPO free to everybody to use whatever they want. So if they're the directors on this project, I would assume that means GGPO netcode to be used in the Riot game. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be. So that's probably the best thing we got going for this Riot game so far. but that's just because we don't know anything else about the Riot game.
Like, especially since in the trailer, the Cannon brothers were like, "All right, look, this is super early on. Don't expect anything anytime soon."
Yeah, we're pre-alpha, like.
Yeah, pre-alpha. So I expect this to be like 2 years from now. We'll finally get maybe a beta release.
I think, I don't know. I think it depends on how big the team is. I think earliest we could probably see like a cool like tech demo, alpha footage maybe at Evo next year.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Maybe like during grand finals they show like a cool little snippets of the game. They actually do like a kind of real announcement trailer for it, I guess, instead of just kind of sitting at deck saying, "Hey, we're working on a game." I think it'd be cool to kind of get some like game footage more than what we've seen of Darius doing a special move and Jinx shooting the minigun, which I guess would probably be a special move, maybe.
I think the game really carries itself pretty well to having a booth, since most fighting games that have had betas or even pre-alphas have come to Evolution and had certain booths rented out on the show floor, and for years come back to get feedback from everyone in the community. So I think that would be a pretty good chance, if anything, from people all over the world for different demographics and backgrounds playing different fighting games to come in and play the game. I don't expect it to be this Evo. I could definitely see next Evo 2020. 2021. I could definitely see Evo 2021 Riot coming with a trailer, like you said, and having a booth. I think that would be a really good step forward into the development of that game.
So what I'm thinking is next Evo would be, hey, this is like the actual reveal trailer, right?
Okay.
And then 2021 would be the it's coming, that kind of trailer, like
yeah.
Available tomorrow, some shit like that. Like that's the kind of way I'm looking at it. Yeah.
All right. So, and big thing for me, how big of a roster would you think could sell this game to people? Or do you think it's not even the roster size? It's just how many popular waifus could they get from the League of Legends roster?
I wouldn't even say that. Let's see.
Because to me, I feel like the 12 character roster has been a predominant issue that you brought up before in fighting games, where like it is a decent sized roster to justify selling the game, pushing it out on the market. Excuse me. It is a decent sized roster to justify pushing it on the market, but it's bad enough because 12 is not enough to get the millions of sales you're trying to push for. Not everyone out of a million is willing to pick the same 12 characters or one of the 12 characters. There might be an archetype or a certain niche that one of those 12 characters isn't covering for somebody,
Yeah, I think I would say maybe like 3 of every kind of like general fighting game archetype. So like 3 grapplers, 3 zoners, 3, I guess aggressive playstyle characters,
okay.
3 Shotos. That would have balance it out, so that way, okay, me, I like to play zoners in an aggressive manner, but I mainly play zoners. Okay, this can be 3 zoners to try out when the game launches. I would probably even up that number just so you have a little more variety, but so if you got 4 archetypes that I just listed, there's probably more, to be honest.
I think
and you got 3 characters for each. That's 12 characters. I feel like that's what Dragon Ball launched with.
yeah.
I feel like that's what Street Fighter V launched with. Tekken, I don't remember what that game launched with.
Tekken is Tekken. I feel like Tekken is its own ballpark where everyone on a baseline in Tekken has the same base model. Everyone in Tekken is Bokujin. But everyone has their own different spin on the art of fighting. Everyone has their own martial art. Everyone prioritizes a different appendage or a different limb in their fighting style. Some people use knees, some people use feet, some people use their fists in a different way. Some people use their elbows. But on a base level,
uses his sword.
That's a guest character. That's a whole different realm. Some people chuck plasma now, even though that wasn't a thing before. But before in Tekken, most characters had this is my quick punish button, this is my hard punish button, this is my hop kick or some kind of launcher, and this is my optimal, and this is my semi-optimal combo that most people would try doing once they got good at the game. feel me? So
Yeah.
Tekken, I feel like it's its own little bubble where, rather than in most fighting games where everyone is different, and as soon on the spectrum of fighting games where you go from like Tekken to anime, where anime everyone has their own different system in mind, where like some characters have they're playing their own different version of the game going on, and some people don't. I feel like Tekken is the perfect, like, on paper everyone is doing the same thing, it just looks slightly different. But if we were to change characters, if everyone was to play the opposite character of your opponent, you still have the same 4 buttons. You still know, like, okay, this is my left punch, this is my right kick, and you could function at some point.
What was it? I would say going back to the question.
Yeah.
About
to the right.
How many characters? I would say anywhere from 15 to 20.
15 to 20? Okay.
12, I guess 12 to 20 I would understand, but preferably 15 to 20.
I think 12 is the base. Anything less than 12 is
anything
hard
less
to
than 12
justify.
is like, what the fuck?
Anything less than 12 is like we're at mobile game territory, or you're expecting this to be less $25 to $30, because it's hard to push like, hey, this is a fighting game, and unless we have godlike systems, Fire Online and Fire Story Mode or Arcade Mode, which is things that take a lot more time than people anticipate to have perfect, that people will want to play more than one time. I don't see that being a $60 game at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts on the Riot fighting game? I feel like that's good.
I hope it's good.
We all hope it's good, because again, I hope it's good for the simple fact that is a potential that
can make the FGC again.
Like, League of Legends is a huge demographic. It's a huge market.
Like, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Evo Sunday. Closing game. Project L is the last game of the day.
Ooh, that's a
and
great
the
honor.
arena is fucking packed.
I feel like
we've already had Smash. We've already had Street Fighter. We've already had Tekken. And now we're getting Project L to close the game, to close the day out. Ooh, baby.
We might not have seats anymore at that point.
Bro,
the arena's like, that's you.
It'd be a hype ass day.
We've been to Evo together, bro. You've seen how many seats get sold out. The arena actually gets sold out some years. Last year,
Tekken was full.
Tekken was full. Like, imagine we get a League of Legends fighting game. We're actually gonna have to change venues because the arena will sell out.
I'll be honest, I expected more people for Smash. There wasn't a whole lot of people left for Smash.
Nah.
Based on like the arena size. If you did like, oh, how many people were still in there, it'd probably be like, oh, that's quite a bit. But like the arena is just like, man, there's not a lot of people in here. But then like Tekken is like, yo, there's a lot of you motherfuckers in here.
So that's my thing. I want this to be the bridge that connects people to fighting games. To have people finally understand the fact that this is a perfect ballet that you can have with another individual from a different background and show the qualities that fighting games present, or the bonuses that fighting games have that most other games don't push in their gameplay, or the mindset they have you go into when you play the game at a higher level. And I'd like that to be appreciated by other gaming demographics, for the simple fact that most people don't know how to fight on a base level. If you ask the general person to fight another person, they're not really going to know what to do. Because like, not everyone knows how to throw hands instinctively. So getting a game that would have people try, at least try. That's the key question. Just try. I want people fighting in the streets, my guy. Go back to like kindergarten when we were kids, where people were scrapping up for no reason, doing Naruto hand signs and like Rasengans in each other's face. Like, just go back to that. If we can get at least a semblance of that from this game, I feel like it's achieved its purpose in my mind, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. All right. So next topic, we're gonna go into this thing about Tekken that happened recently. It was at a recent tournament in the Bandai Namco studios, in their offices and all that. I forgot what the tournament's called. But they, they announced some changes to training mode and stuff. They said, training mode's gonna be better, stuff like that. And they said, hey, frame data is coming to the game. But then they said, but you gotta pay $4 for that frame data. And Malik, I want to get your opinions on paying for frame data.
So first,
I got something.
Yeah. First things first, my mindset is when I heard about it, I was watching certain streamers and I was watching a video VOD that Little Majin uploaded on YouTube, and I was under the impression that it was a free-to-play update completely, that the frame data was included in that free-to-play update. I did not know that you had to pay for the frame data until prior to this podcast, where you mentioned to me that it was now paid to play. And I feel like that's a very interesting question, but on a fundamental level, I feel like now you're talking about removing tools that players would have, and that's a controversial thing. But on the other hand of that argument, a lot of people aren't really looking for that depth in fighting games yet. The goal of fighting games, I feel you've done a good job as a developer and as a game designer when making a fighting game, is if you can push your player base to want to delve deeper into the mechanics, to look for that frame data. If I can get a novice to buy my game, that's a success. But if I can get that novice to then play my game for more than 8 hours and come back after they get bodied in a game or a round once and want to pursue getting stronger and by proxy look at my frame data, I've won even more so, because that means I have an invested player which I can market to. But if that invested player has to deal with the paywall, I'm very much concerned that $4. Well, how much did they say a price point?
I think they did say $4.
Is it $4? I don't want to give out bad information, but like,
yeah,
like $4.
Everything I've been seeing is
like
$4. I've been seeing like top people saying $4, so yeah. I'm gonna say $4.
Right, let's go with $4. Assuming it's a $4 price point. $4 isn't a lot of money, but let's be honest, $4 is definitely still a barrier. And the more barriers you put in front of that, let's say, all right, we got the first barrier, buying the game. That's a whole barrier. Wanting to pursue strength in the game or improving in the game, that's another barrier. That's 2 barriers. Now we add $4.99. I'm gonna say $4.99. I'm gonna say $4.99 because tax or whatever. That's a 3rd barrier. 3 barriers is going to chop out a lot of people. Let's say 1 million people buy the game. That is a huge chunk of folks that have probably not even made it to barrier 2, wanting to pursue getting good at the game. Once they get to barrier 3, even if it was like 99 cents, they're still gonna be like complaining, what the fudge is this? Why would I spend $4.99, like 99 cents on this? I'm not spending $4.99 on this. And they peace out. So I don't think the price is unreasonable. I don't think it's unreasonable to pay for frame data, but I do know that most people under the human condition are going to complain about it and not want to move forward and spend that money on just a gamer level, on a principle. I'm a gamer. Why do I have to spend money for this? That makes no sense. That's going to halt a lot of people from using that tool, and that's going to halt a lot of people from getting good, and that's going to halt a lot of people from they're probably still going to watch Tekken, but they're not going to be playing Tekken, and that's what we want. We want people to watch Tekken, but we also want people to try playing Tekken. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. All right, here's my thing, right? Why do I have to pay $4 for something that is free in almost every other fighting game?
Bro, I don't
And I've heard the argument, oh, you gotta pay for it because they're adding it late. Motherfucking Dragon Ball added it after launch, and Street Fighter added it after launch. Don't talk to me about that shit.
See, Street Fighter added it because they had no choice. If they didn't get an update soon, without AE, Street Fighter 5 would have died a long time ago, bro. We would have been in Street Fighter 6.
We can't act like, oh, frame data is this new thing. No, it's not. It really is not new. Because people had this shit in 2001 with one of the virtual fighters. So don't tell me, oh, having frame data showing up in game is new. No, it's not, motherfucker. We had that shit 18 years ago. frame data is legal, motherfucker.
It's a
Frame
free
data
right.
can vote.
Frame data is the Second Amendment of the FGC, baby. We deserve frame data. We're entitled to that shit. If you have enough time to make a move and you programmed in the data, you should release the data to the player base.
Like, yeah, people are talking about, oh, frame data is like, it's hard to find. No, motherfucker, they had to make that shit to put it in the game to begin with. All you gotta do is go in, make a program real quick to, extract frame data from each move. Once you do it with one move, okay, yeah, that's the correct, frame data that we put in this move. Okay, move on to the next move, into the next move, into the next move, the next move. That's all you gotta do. It's just copy pasting everything.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even say
each character does have 100 moves, so you'd be copy and pasting a whole lot. But
like, to me, on a development standpoint, mind you, I've never been in a fighting game development environment, but like on a development standpoint, if you're already on an object-oriented level, designing your program in a way that each character is getting programmed in a similar way as the other. Each character has certain buttons that are attached to other buttons and certain moves that do certain things and have damage values, and they have to recall that information when a person presses a button playing the game. At that point, if you object-orientedly design your program, if you design the game in a certain way that's not just a glob of, like a giant mess of code, you should be able to write some kind of recursive function or some kind of smaller, really easy to implement function that just relays that information to the screen for a user to use. Regardless, let's not even incorporate like one of those like advantage state, disadvantage state highlights where the characters turn red and blue, or flipping, you see the hurt boxes and hit boxes with the rectangles. Let's not even do any of that. We'll say that for the modding community. But just putting a 1 or a -1 on the screen, I feel like should not be that difficult to implement if you're already putting a training mode in mind into your game.
Yeah, I just don't think you should be paying for it. I think it just should be free. And the crazy thing is, like, a lot of people in the tech community are like, no, I understand why it's $4, and then acting like it's not that crazy. Like, they're hating on people that are complaining that it's $4, not understanding it at all.
Honestly, I think it feeds.
Where it's like,
go ahead.
Do you not see all these other games? Do you not see Dragon Ball? Mortal Kombat has it for free. Street Fighter has it for free. Like, it's crazy.
Do you think it has to do with the fans believing that Tekken could do no wrong, or the fact that Tekken hasn't made a mistake up to this point?
Yeah, I think it's the Tekken is our savior for fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
Tekken, Harada can't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's part of it. They don't think Tekken can make a mistake, even though I think they're making one here, personally.
Yeah. To me, I think Tekken is making a mistake. Now, the degree of the mistake isn't that severe because it's not anything outrageous for a price, but it definitely is going to cause a lot of people to raise an eyebrow and most likely a lot of people that would have used the frame data tool are not going to use that tool anymore because it's behind a paywall. So, to me, I feel like one reason that Namco Bandai and the Tekken team could have made it a paid resource is because they haven't had a new version in over a year, over 2 years, is the fact that Namco hasn't, at this point, unless everyone's buying DLC, which not everyone buys DLC. A lot of people just use the vanilla roster. If their characters in the vanilla roster, why would I spend more money for Season 2 and Season 3 characters if I play King and King comes in every Tekken game,
Yeah.
There's no need. So you're not making money off of every guaranteed purchase from the game, from the base game, Faded Retribution, that was released stateside or abroad, because abroad money is what we're looking for. So if we're not making money off of everyone abroad already, and we haven't had a new version that was paid, because Season 3 was a free update with the wall bouncing and the new health UI and the music and the costumes, all that was free in the past, when before every other fighting game in the competition and the biz would have made that a paid update. I think that is probably, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like that was intertwined with the fact that like Tekken is a viable, very safe investment by Namco, considering the rest of the games are pretty volatile and could make or break themselves pretty easily that they're licensing. So that's the cash cow, right? If you're not making any more guaranteed money off the cash cow, I feel like $4.99 on Tekken in an update that seems very pivotal to the player base that is invested in the game is a good option to them from a business standpoint. I think that's where this is coming from.
Okay.
If Tekken had some other thing that every player needed, or just an arcade edition where we get Tekken 7 Mega Retribution or whatever, I think at that point Namco would have not made anything remotely like this a choice down the road with the paid frame data. I think that's where this is coming from. They probably budgeted, they probably had the marketing team come in, do crunch the numbers, look and see. We haven't made shiz off of Tekken in years. No one's buying Armored King unless it's the furry or someone who loves Armored King from like when they were 6, like me. You know, nobody wants to play Negan. Once someone said, like once Negan Kudon said, flipping Negan's frame data is trash, and he's not a top tier. No one's buying Negan. We need to find a way to make more money off of Tekken 7. I know we'll make the frame data $4 because if only half the people that own Tekken use this $4, we're making enough money to sustain this.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It's not cool. It's not fun. I don't agree with it. At that point, if Harada was to make an official statement or someone at Namco's PR team to make an official statement, I wouldn't trip as hard. I would say that.
Okay.
It's a catch-22. This is a business. Even though video games are becoming more of a billion-dollar business in the industry every year, it's still a business. People gotta stay in the black all the time. If we don't stay in the black for more than like 3 months, Dustin, we don't get a new game. That's all it is. If Tekken doesn't become a cash cow and makes buttloads of money every year, we're not getting the new game. Even if
no, it's the opposite. Once it stops making, they just make the new game, and then we all buy it again.
See, that's what we hope, but sometimes games just die off, or like copyrights aren't worth it, like Marvel. If the time it takes for you to license new characters doesn't warrant the price checks, you know, and the legal issues and calling the lawyers and calling different companies to make sure everything's good, like Smash Bros does with all the guest characters, it's not worth it. If Smash Bros wasn't selling millions of copies, we wouldn't be getting Banjo. We would not be getting Terry Bogard.
Which he's actually supposed to be coming out pretty soon, I guess.
I'm really hyped for Terry. I'm waiting for that release date. I haven't heard anything about that yet. I've heard rumors. I hope he's a valid top tier.
Speaking of King of Fighters.
Yeah.
You know, King of Fighters 15 was announced. That was a good ass segue. What the fuck was that?
Yo, you good?
What the hell was that?
Did you just get bird knuckled in the background? What happened, bro? Bust the wolf?
What just fell off my desk?
I don't know. Any feng shui. Upcoming fighting games. We got flipping King of Fighters, whatever the fudge is going to be called, because we don't know yet. It just said up and coming King of Fighters title.
Oh no, they said 15, didn't they?
Is it 15?
I thought it was.
I hope it is.
Let me fact check real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15.
15, King of Fighters 15. King of Fighters 15, round the corner.
I don't really play I played 14 like a little bit. I've been in training mode because no one else has the game, so I can't really play with anybody. But
wow. King of Fighters for me has always been that title of. We've talked about this before in a previous discussion. Me and Dustin and I, Chata Briefs, the KB. We've mentioned that on a spectrum, most fighting games aren't that difficult once you're accustomed to all the different mechanics and things you have to keep in mind. Once you become comfortable with just moving your character and hitting a button and not having an aneurysm when someone's asking you to do like an anti-air. Oh god, what's an anti-air? I don't know what that is. Once you've reached that level of informed fighting game player where you're not fully noob but you're still learning and progressing, Street Fighter and the games of that like or that ilk aren't necessarily that difficult. Neither are games like Guilty Gear, which are anime fighters that seem to have a lot of mechanics or things incorporated. You have to just learn how to abstract those things and just learn on a base level what are these 3 things I need to focus on when I turn the game on, and you can function perfectly fine. But King of Fighters has always been that game to me that has just been on the opposite end of the spectrum, where like no matter how many years I've dedicated to fighting games, or as a spectator, as a fan, as a player, as a competitor, King of Fighters has always been very difficult for me to get into because of that execution barrier. There's a lot of canceling going on. There's a lot of mechanics that are labeled and said in the game, but they're very brief descriptions of these mechanics, and they're very hard for me to implement regardless of how many years I've dedicated to just doing a core circle cancel into something. It's always been, it took me like 30 minutes for me to finally get this thing that was in the trials, that I feel like if I was playing any other game, I would have been done with all the trials for said character or from said mechanic by this point.
Yeah.
Which is making me hesitant for King of Fighters. But I do want King of Fighters 15 to be the King of Fighters game I fully commit to. Similar to how Street Fighter 5 was the first fighting game. I was like, okay, I've been a fan of Street Fighter. I've been watching the stories, the Evos, the streamers for years. I'm getting a fight stick. I'm getting Street Fighter 5. I'm getting good. I want King of Fighters 15 to be that for me as well. But I also think King of Fighters has been very beautiful in all its renditions because of the way combos executed isn't really exemplified anywhere else. I don't see that many fighting games with that many juggle points or that many pickups or combos that last forever ever. It looks really cool, it's really stylized, and I feel like a bad mamma jamma when I land anything like that in training mode. So I really want that feeling of feeling awesome carried over to King of Fighters 15. I just don't want it to lose all that sauce it had. I just want it to be something that I can... I don't want it to be Baby's first King of Fighters where like I just mash like A over and over again, or like the light punch over and over again.
So what you're saying is, watch this sick ass segue. You don't want it to be what is rumored to be happening to Guilty Gear 2020.
No, I don't.
Simplifying the game. Ooh.
Yeah, good segue.
Your boy.
Yeah, your boy. So King of Fighters 14, I'm hyped. I have my doubts, I have my worries, but I feel like it's in the good hands considering we didn't see gameplay for it immediately, and it has time.
You just said fuck that segue. We going back to King of
Fighters. No. I was gonna go back to King of Fighters. I mean, not King of Fighters, Guilty Gear. Give me a second. Jeez. I wanted to close my thoughts into one sentence so people understand my whole spiel. So Guilty Gear 2020. I wanted to smell the flipping game. I want to know the smell of the game, bro. My heart is blazing for this already. Like, I actually want to pull up the clip of me flipping popping off at Evo. I could probably put that.
No, I wouldn't.
All right, whatever. Killjoy. Any phone show.
Not what you said at the end of that trailer.
All right, whatever. Oh no, I'm not comfortable with this word. I'd like me not in there just see where thuggery is a thing. All these old heads probably watching this video. If an old head is not comfortable with that, I'd be shooken. Any function.
Oh my god. Alright.
Guilty Gear 2020 is a game that I'm worried the sauce of Guilty Gear will actually be completely gone. But I'm reassured because we've seen gameplay of certain legacy characters that looks very similar to that of Guilty Gear Revelator and Revelator 2, Rev 2. So, at the very least, if the inputs are dumbed down, at least from a stylized standpoint, it looks very close that I can analyze the gameplay and know what's happening on the screen.
Are there anything in Rev 2, so like current Guilty Gear, that you'd be fine getting rid of? Any mechanics?
I could see Blitz being gone because that was more of a high level mechanic. Like, you know that mechanic I showed you where like it's kind of like a focus attack?
Yeah.
That was something that me and you in our sets, I didn't really incorporate because it wasn't necessary in our matchup. And even when I put on a higher level in tournament brackets, whenever I went to locals, I never felt pressured to use Blitz. I was never in matchups where I should have used it, or if I did, it was always a post thought rather than in the midst of my match.
For context, everyone, I started playing Guilty Gear like a week ago, so
yeah. So I've pretty much been trying to show Dustin like the highlights of Guilty Gear, maybe increasing his intrigue into Guilty Gear 2020 as we progress further. Guilty Gear has been that title along with Street Fighter that it's always been there in my early life and exposure to the FGC, but I never really pursued playing it. The closest thing I got to was a DS game back when I was in middle school. Actually, probably elementary school. Early middle school, late elementary school was where I played Guilty Gear on the Nintendo DS, and I didn't go back and play it until Arxis got the licensing back for Sign. And I took the plunge into the FGC right before I got my fight stick, and then I learned how to play that on stick, and that's where we are currently. So I really enjoy this game. I enjoy the lore, I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the music, especially. I feel like Guilty Gear is that perfect thing where someone could watch it and be like, oh my god, this is liquid hype. This is literally just bombastic, amazing explosions and combos. Like just shiz is happening. You had insta kills, some random mother trucker just blew up and I don't know why, and I want to learn why he got blown the fudge up. Like all that could just happen in an instant, and I think it doesn't require you, unlike most other anime fighters, to understand what actually is going on the screen, or there might be too many things happening at once on the screen for you to fully focus, to know what to focus on. So that's why I'm hyped for Guilty Gear. I think Guilty Gear could pave the way, like how Dragon Ball FighterZ did for anime in the year 2018 to 2019. I think, again, this could be another fighting game that pushes people even further down the anime rabbit hole, and that would be amazing to me, because I think anime fighters do present a certain
anime,
certain sauce. There's something deep in there in anime fighters that isn't really shown off in Street Fighter, and I think KOF kind of has that same thing going on that anime fighters do have, but the execution barrier has always been much higher for me. I can't really attest to other people in the FGC. Maybe some people that play fighting games have never had an execution error or issue with King of Fighters, but I personally have. So I'm all down for Guilty Gear 2020. I don't want it to be mash this one button to do a full auto combo, but I definitely want it to be something that I could play with my little sister or my cousins, and have them play. I played many fighting games in my current Steam library or my other rosters or bargain bins back in my house to see if it's accessible for them. Like so far, Tekken 7, kids love it. Plenty of the small children I've hung out with, family members I have, little relatives, they all eat it up. Street Fighter, they kind of got into. Guilty Gear was a little bit of an issue, and I think that's something they can work on. It wasn't an issue for the simple fact that, like,
these dumbass kids don't like Guilty Gear.
No, they didn't hate Guilty Gear. It was just the fact that, like, because it's an anime fighter, there's a lot that's not intuitive like there is with Tekken. Tekken is very much so, if I want to box somebody, I can clearly box somebody in Tekken. Similar to how, like, my left arm does this left arm does that. Guilty Gear, you got flipping characters like Dizzy, Chip, Johnny, Soul, Kai. Like, they all have different things. Dizzy is like an 8-year-old gear thing that flipping shoots laser beams out of her wings. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. What child?
She probably has one of the funniest insta kills though.
Yeah, like what 7-year-old is going to intuitively look at this character design and know how this character works or what is going to happen or transpire on the screen? Not a lot, and that makes sense. So I feel like if something like that could be condensed in a way to make it at least a little bit easier for a player to digest how it's going to work in Guilty Gear 2020, that's fine. I don't want it to be auto combo central though. That's my biggest fear. Auto combos do commit people to play the game and buy games, but I don't want it to be there.
The thing is, like, if you look at like a game like Dragon Ball, which has auto combos, you never see like
Bardock.
all right.
Vegeta, Gogeta. Goku Black, Kid Buu, Trunks.
All right, it's not that bad.
Anybody in the top 8? Goku GT.
Hey, my man, Team Gohan ain't
Actually,
Auto Combo Center.
Team Gohan, literally, Dustin, I can show you any commentary in the past
Hey,
2 weeks.
motherfucker.
Team Gohan's auto combo is
Shut the
safe on
fuck
block.
up.
You know you bias as fudge. Don't hit me with
Shut
that.
the fuck
Your
up.
auto combo is safe on block. Your auto combo turns around midway through. All right, it's just not Bardock. We're not privileged like that. Anyway, you know you lying.
Hey, that third hit auto combo doesn't fucking work though.
It scales too pretty well in TODs. People TOD off of that shit too. You just gotta learn bomb loops. That's on you. It's not my fault that you don't want to learn the bomb loops. I send you the links to the videos. That's on you, bro.
Speaking of anime, it's not. It works, but like we weren't really talking about anime too much.
You know, I mean, guilty of anime.
It's more of a game. Yeah, you kept talking about like anime fighters. They're that, and I'm like, come back.
My bad.
Let me segue.
Let me try. I got this. I got the ball. Let me pass. Pass the ball, mother trucker.
I would say it's a game that we don't really know a whole lot of because I had the beta key. I gave it to you because I was working that weekend, and then you just didn't play the beta.
Oh, what do you mean I did play it? I played it 2 days in a row.
I swear you didn't. But
I did. On PS4, I played it.
Grand Blue Fantasy Verse.
This is a sleeper game, and this is the game I'm concerned because we had, in the midst of Grand Blue Fantasy, which is a mobile gacha game from Japan that is simultaneously getting a fighting game and an RPG for the PS4, and possibly the PS5, considering that console generation is right on the corner, and that console might be backwards compatible. So we'll see how that goes. But Grand Blue Fantasy is incorporating a lot of characters from said mobile game. A lot of the popular ones are being ported over into fighting game characters, and it's designed to be a quote-unquote anime fighter, so that would incorporate things like an air dash or certain
another game made by Arxis.
Combos, another game incorporated, developed by Arxis and published by Arxis, which shows how flippin' stretched Arxis is. Like, dear gosh, there must have been 2016 must have been a crazy year for licensing because they must have had like 5 or 6 licenses going in and out.
Especially with the secret project, I guess they're working on. That is the title of me and Malik and some other friends' group chat.
We'll see how that goes, but
bro, I'm saying.
If it happens, I know Dustin's gonna be an Arxis fanboy forever.
I'm not playing any other game.
So Grand Blue Fantasy, I feel, is that actual not a bridge as much as the Riot fighting game, but I feel like what would happen in a perfect world is people buy the Riot fighting game, like the Riot fighting game. You got all the weebs that watch My Hero Academia, Dr. Stone, Fire Force, or like anything the Fudge House, like Demon Slayer, anything that's trending right now on Twitter that's anime related. SAO Season 3. They would see Grand Blue Fantasy, find it at their local GameStop or whatever retail store they buy their local video game cartridge, and they would pick it up. It's pretty smooth. It's got a gacha game attached to it on their phone, which is a very popular demographic, or around to buy games at, because it starts off free and you just pay as you want to. You feel comfortable with. Grand Blue Fantasy has a lot of entry-level things. I think the game was pretty clean. It has a nice roster, even though it's small. Even though we mentioned a 12-character roster would be pretty light and would be hard to justify $60 purchase, I feel like Grand Blue Fantasy does a lot under the hood that you don't realize is there that is perfect for a new fighting game player to try. Now, I'm not a new fighting game player anymore, especially at the time when I was playing Grand Blue Fantasy, so I can't really push that hard in that angle. But to me, I feel like the game definitely, once it works on netcode, because the netcode was pretty mad, and most people aren't going to be able to play games with people locally. Even though most folks have friends to play with, you can never assume, especially that online is the more readily available option with fighting games. You can't assume everyone's going to have someone to play all the time in their home. There's going to be the chance that, like with me and Dustin per se, I can play locals with Dustin, but it's only for certain segments of the year. It's not every time, every day of the week. But a lot of the time I play Dustin online, and the rest of my friends is through an online avenue in a fighting game. So if the netcode is not favorable, then that affects my opinion of the game. So I need Grand Blue Fantasy to have better netcode. definitely further down the road we're gonna get more characters because there's a lot more that the gacha game has not incorporated into the fighting game. The combos are pretty smooth, the animations are fire, the music was pretty okay but not too memorable, unlike Guilty Gear. We're not there yet. We'll see as more tracks will release when the full game is out. Character designs are pretty fire. Not a lot of parkour effects. We got actual nooch. We got actual neutral in that game. Definitely, if I could put Street Fighter 2 or any classical Street Fighter game into an anime portal where I just make it like full on like weeaboo anime eyes and all that jazz, that's what I would get, which is a nice experience. It was refreshing. It was very refreshing. Learning new things, and by new things I mean things that I've already learned through other fighting games again in another medium was very, very nice. And that's my thoughts on Grand Blue Fantasy on that point.
You wanna know what's crazy?
What?
So, Dragon Ball came out, right? We're
Yeah.
like, oh damn, this game looks fucking great. And then they start showing off Grand Blue Fantasy, and we're like, oh my god, this game looks fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
And then they showed Guilty Gear 2020, and we're like, yo, fuck Grand Blue Fantasy. Game looks fucking great.
I think the best part, actually, I think I pulled the text, is that when I saw the Grand Blue Fantasy trailer, it was like a random school night, and it came up in my sub feed, and I saw it, I was like, I need it! And then I got the Evo, and I see Daisuke come up on stage like, hey, I was working really hard on this thing, and I was like, Daisuke, is that the project you said Guilty Gear related from last year? Is it done? And he was like, I got a little thing to show you, and I was like, yo, this is now the new vibe, bro. This is the wave. And I was like, F everything. Bro. Grand Blue Fantasy, I will say...
I might play you Grand Blue,
but
Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear 2020 is getting my money guaranteed. KOF 15 might get my money. Grand Blue Fantasy, I'm worried it won't get my money because it'll be all gone by the time Grand Blue Fantasy is established and is like readily available for me to pick up because I want a physical copy. I don't know what it is. I say I want physical copies, but as we move from console generation to console generation, I picked up less.
I've been getting digital shit lately.
Yeah, even though I'm a physical disc fan, I like having manuals and like having the case. It makes my console library a lot more tangible to me. But being a PC gamer for like 5 plus years, like at this point, I find myself downloading digital copies because I'm too lazy or like it's just convenient. It's just mad convenient.
Yeah.
So, but
you don't gotta get up and put a disc in the PlayStation.
Yeah. But fighting games so far has been the only exception where I really will only buy physical copies of my fighting games at this point. So I'm expecting myself to end up buying an instant copy, collector's edition of like Guilty Gear or whatever. KOF getting a physical disc. Grand Blue, I might be like, I might just download the digital because I don't have enough money to or time to like go to the store and pick up the physical copy of Grand Blue.
And search for Grand Blue.
Yeah. Because same thing with Under Night in Birth. Like I love Unist, and Unio, but there were only 4 copies of the game in my town, in the whole city. Like we went to 4 different GameStops, and I have half of the Under Night copies in my entire state. That's weird, bro. That's weird.
All right. Next topic. I guess if you want to talk about a project you're working on, if you would want to.
Yep. So currently, I love the FGC. I want to get back to it in some kind of way. I'm definitely not, as much as I'd like to be, I'm not a top contender. I'm not winning Evo left and right. I am not winning majors. I am trying to place in a major at some point. That is one of my goals in the FGC to make. And I'm trying to support my locals if they existed. if they existed, you know. And if so, I'd like to make a local with Kachada Briefs if that's the case. But the resources have not been readily available to me at this point. But as a software engineer, computer scientist major, up and coming, I feel like I have the skill set and the resources necessary, or at least the time and the passion and the drive to make a website dedicated to the FGC. And I think a lot of different murmurs and conversations have been happening behind the scenes talking about how certain events in the FGC go unnoticed, certain tutorials or pieces of information are not necessarily available to people out the gate, but it's harder for people to find it. Like, I have to find a specific Discord channel for my character or my game, or it's hard to find people that will also like my game in my area or link up with folks. I think the FGC isn't necessarily underground anymore, but there are definitely a lot of barriers that we have put up on our own subconsciously that make the FGC a lot harder to connect. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in every state in the United States of America and abroad outside of the country that could easily make their own community that is very tight knit and very strong and produces a lot of strong players and makes everyone but allows everyone to have a good time. But they aren't aware that they exist. So I think I want to make a website that not only sponsors and announces certain set events in the FGC and gives updates to the community, similar to websites like Event Hubs or Shoryuken.com forums. I also would like it to have tutorials for games, or just in general certain terminology and mechanics and fighting community, ranging from this is how you maintain your pad, or this is how you do maintenance on your fight stick. This is the concept of a quarter circle, or what is the phrase or the term DP stand for, Dragon Punch and whatnot.
What the fuck is a YRC?
What is a YRC? I feel like those are very not necessarily niche. I feel like those are terms and things that don't necessarily have to be put behind a Discord wall, a paywall, a website that's like, hey, we have a lot of cool tutorials on our website, but you have to pay a subscription or at least make an account to access that information. I feel like that's all things that if they were made free and put in one website, that would very much help a lot of people. We have Dragon Ball FighterZ events that happen on a global scale that bring points to their said tournaments and their whole events globally, and not many people are aware that they happen. I don't think that should happen. I don't think you should have a major tournament occur that affects a whole global event and nobody knew it was even happening, even though there are plenty of esports players that make this their livelihood and they didn't even know. That's an issue. I think that's something I can help clear up. So I would appreciate any feedback, or not necessarily feedback at this point because I don't have a prototype out, but I will be working on a prototype for a website of that kind, because I think that's something that I could give back to the community with my certain skill set. And I would like to have feedback once I do have the prototype out, or any suggestions on what you would like to see. If you can imagine a perfect website for the FGC where everyone can communicate, post different things, talk about certain subjects, because our forums on things on different forum websites aren't that great, and Reddit isn't that really great, or any slash Reddit website for the FGC isn't that great. If you could put all of that into one place rather than having to spread yourself super thin and actively search for just little minute details, or asking cell mains and Dragon Ball FighterZ, how do I do this thing as a cell player, into one place, what would you want there? And that's really what I'm looking for, in a really outlandish, long-winded way.
Alrighty. Yeah. Our last thing for this first episode, which let me do this so we can watch along as we do this, is we're going to do a fighting game tier list with all these fighting games here, as you can tell. Like you got eyes on it now?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right.
Godlike.
I guess we'll start from the beginning, which is Street Fighter versus Tekken, or X Tekken.
Street Fighter X Tekken. This is a controversial fighting game, but because I was a spectator in the FGC at the time, hover over can't skip. Because I was a spectator at the time in the FGC, and later went on to play on the PC release, I actually just find this game to be fun to play with casually. I would recommend trying it. I wouldn't say this is a skip. I would say this is recommend, even though a lot of people would easily put this in a can skip or a must skip, because at a tournament venue, a lot of people had issues running this game. Or you had situations where it's a partner game and your partner was hogging all the screen time and they end up dying, and therefore you didn't get to play. and get a gym system and whatnot. So
There.
yeah, you put in the air. I would put it recommended.
Better do it.
Go ahead, go ahead, do you?
Nah, we putting it in. Street Fighter 1. What's the point?
Must get. Yeah.
It's not great.
Don't.
Street Fighter 2, I feel like.
Do we have all the versions of Street Fighter 2, or were you saying Street Fighter 2 in general? Like all of
Street Fighter 2 in general.
Street
Just
Fighter
like
2.
Third Strike. Third Strike is by itself, but then there's no like other ones.
Okay,
Like,
there's no like second impact and all that for Street
Yeah.
Fighter 2. Okay, so Street Fighter 2, that is history. That is the literal.
I feel like it's gotta be.
That you gotta try it once, at least one version of Street Fighter 2, because everything else is built off of it. It's similar how like Nintendo fixed the gaming industry after like the ET crash and like all the arcade games like flooding with trash games. Street Fighter 2 made the template of, okay, here's your health, here's your opponent's health, you got special moves, and there's combos. Even though half of that stuff was made accidentally, the concept of the combo was just because we couldn't, have the game happen in full speed all the time. It's a beautiful thing. You gotta try it. It's history.
I feel like we can do all 3 alpha games pretty easily. All just right here.
I feel like you could argue Alpha 2 is a must play, because that's the game like a lot of old heads played the most of. I played more Alpha 3 personally, but Alpha 2 I would probably put in must play. But all 3 Alpha games recommended. Give it a shot. You can emulate it, allegedly.
I'm gonna be real with you. I mean,
Man. See, this is the thing. Even though Third Strike is quote unquote overrated, it's overrated for a reason. At the time when it first released, the FGC was divided on it, and it was like a meh.
I would
choice.
definitely say it hasn't aged well.
It has,
but just on the history it's had on the FGC.
Yeah, it hasn't aged well. But to me, matter of fact, last week I was playing Third Strike with some buddies. Like, that pixel art is no joke. That is some high quality art we don't get anymore. We have all 3D models now, and there are times where I appreciate just looking at the beauty of an artist doing their work and then translating into pixels. It just works. That's Third Strike. The music, the characters, #Dudley, #Sean, is godlike.
So, Street Fighter 4, we'll go with Ultra 4. I know it says Super, but we'll go with Ultra.
Okay.
Just because it's newer. I would say
recommended.
I would say it's like it might be
right
in the middle. Like
see, to me, Street Fighter 4, I feel like a lot of people, like with the numbered Street Fighter games after 2, a lot of people might just try it once or never at all. They just might see gameplay of it. Third Strike, if I had to choose out of the number entries that aren't the current Street Fighter 5, I'd say you gotta try Third Strike. You gotta look at Third Strike. You gotta see how it looks. 4, I would be completely fine with someone not playing 4.
Really?
Like, not completely fine. Like, oh, that's okay. But I'd be like, I'm not gonna force you to play Street Fighter 4. I would definitely encourage you, and I would probably play 4, and I'd say, hey, you want to play with me?
So here.
Yeah, recommended. Like, that's why I say
you just played recommended.
Pretty much recommended. Like, it's a good game. It has good mechanics. It's a solid title, but definitely everyone has kind of moved on, even though I feel like we could totally just go back to 4. 4 is such a good title, we could go back to Street Fighter 4 at any time. At any time. If Street Fighter 4 ever had our HD re-release again on console, I could just see it all migrating back to Street Fighter 4 until Street Fighter 6 comes out.
Alright. Street Fighter 5. The issue is it's still being made, it's still being patched. So it's like ever fluctuating, and I feel like it's just 3.
I feel like Street Fighter 5 is still a Street Fighter game. I want to love it, but I can't. There's too much going on with it. I gotta put it in N.
You gotta put it in N?
I feel like I gotta put it in N.
I feel like it just fluctuates between just these 3.
Like, Street Fighter 5 could be either a magnificent game or like a I want to pull my hair out title. I could watch Evo Grand Finals of Street Fighter and be like, hell yeah, I want to play this game. I want to play this game when I get home, right? When I get off that jet lag and I get home, I'm gonna boot up the game, I'm gonna play some Birdie, play some Nikali, I'm gonna play some G, I'm gonna have a fun time. And then netcode comes on and someone does a backwards walk and walks in front of me and DPs and I die and I'm like, what the fudge happened? I hate this game. and it's too volatile. It's too random. Anything could happen.
All right. Pokken tournament. I'll be real. For me, it's never played. But I don't know where you want to put it.
Fun fact: I actually won. This is one of the games I won in a fighting game tournament.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Most of the time, I go to fighting game tournaments, and when they don't have prize money or gift cards or whatever to win, and they don't want to get cash, they give me random games. So I won Pokken tournament in a fighting game tournament, and I don't own a Wii U, but I did play Pokken tournament quite a bit growing up. Well, not growing up, in my early college days. So I like the game. It is quote unquote built off of a Tekken formula or like model. I wouldn't say it's a Tekken game. You could definitely skip it, but I feel like you could put it in Ant. It's not a bad game, but it definitely is not like I'm playing a godlike, flipping insane rock paper scissors. It's pretty much like, hey, your friend's picking the Blaziken because that's their favorite starter Pokemon, and they're spamming this exploitable move. And they did a super. The best player may not always win, and sometimes you gotta hold it, sometimes you gotta fold it. But it's a fun time. Looks good. Can't skip though.
All right, Tekken 1. I didn't play Tekken 1.
I did not play Tekken 1 either.
All right.
Never played. I know King's busted in that game though.
Original Super Smash Brothers. Smash 64.
Skip.
I think it's a can skip. It's a classic. But it's a can skip.
You can play Kirby in that game and he's busted though.
Or Pikachu. He's also busted. Melee.
I feel like you gotta go must play.
Really?
Like to me, even though there's the whole like, hey, we have enough Smash games going around, or like Melee heads like are smelly, or like, Smash players have a certain like stigma to them. I feel like there's a reason why Melee persisted. One is because Brawl competitively plummeted, but and aesthetic wise Brawl was cool, but competitive wise it wasn't jiving. That's why Melee kept going. People did what we thought we should have happened with Street Fighter 5, where Street Fighter 5 was mad competitively, and we all thought we were gonna go back to Street Fighter 4, and it didn't happen. I think the music's amazing, the game's amazing. It has its faults like any game, but it still holds up as a GameCube title in the year 2019. You gotta try it once. Even just for giggles. Like go full 90s kids with it, and have a sleepover or whatever. And, like just play Melee with some Vikings or whatever. It's hot chocolate or some shit.
All right, so now we got Brawl.
You gotta put it in recommended just for the intro.
Yeah, all right.
Just for the intro, put it in recommended.
Because I was like, I feel like putting it down here is like...
That's bad news bears, bro. That's
I'm be real. Brawl was my first Smash Bros. That I like played. Like Melee, I was like 5. Like I wasn't playing Melee. Yeah. Well, like Brawl was like actually, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna kind of learn to play this game.
Yeah.
And I was still fucking garbage, but.
With me, Melee was a game I played as a sleepover, but I never owned. I can never find a copy
because like
anywhere.
Most people would immediately just put Brawl down here.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is disrespectful. I would say it's at least
Yeah. To me, Brawl is that game where a lot of people in our age demographic from like early to mid 20s, that was the title that we were in that era. You know what I mean? Yeah. In spite of it being an gameplay wise, or like having tripping or all these other faults, that intro, the commercials, the marketing.
Here's the thing. I would say as like competitively, it's down here.
Yeah.
But as like a game, it's up here.
That's why Project M exists. But like as a game, as an actual game, you can sell to kids. Remember, because the video game industry really marketed towards children until like 2011. When we started marketing towards teens and then older.
Especially because this was the peak of Sakurai doesn't want it to be a competitive video game.
Sakurai wanted this to be a party game. I feel like it achieved that. I had so many years of playing like with that game with friends and
like this nostalgia-wise was before I knew competitive Smash Brothers existed.
Yeah. Actually, that was the first time I ever went to a tournament. I was in 7th grade. I went to a Brawl tournament. Played Kirby.
And you lost.
And I did, because the kid played Meta Knight. Actually, fun fact, the pools was, what was it, like 4-player Smash? Because 8-player Smash was the thing, it was 4 players. and two kids tag teamed against me against my Kirby because they did the troops, and we ended up going in bracket together in pools. And one kid did Toon Link, and another kid did Meta Knight, and I had to hold that out.
Poor 7th grade. Who does that to a kid?
I don't flipping know. They like, I legit was like, "Hey guys, we're all friends here," and they were like, "Yeah, we're friends, but we're best friends. We know each other since the sandbox, so nigga, you get bodied." And I was like, I just wanted to, not drown in pools.
All right. I'm tempted, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
So here's the thing. At launch, it was probably up here. But as the game went on, you know what I mean? Like,
I completely understand, because for the fun fact, this is actually pretty perfect because I played a lot of these games in the past week. I've been going down memory lane. I played Smash Bros. Last weekend, Smash 4, with some friends. Me and my roommates from freshman year of college to junior year of college played that almost every day after class, and I stopped and I went back to play it this year, and it felt mad different. And I really do want to say you could skip it. Like, I don't want to say must skip.
Yeah, I don't want to say must skip, but
you can't. You could definitely skip Smash 4 and just go straight to Ultimate. You very, very, very much can do that, because everyone's here. It's not like the difference between Brawl and like Melee, how like some things were added or changed or whatever. Like, this is legitimately like, if you love Smash 4, just play Ultimate. Granted, some things were tweaked and the engine is slightly different and knockbacks like mad fast in that game. You're not really missing out on anything besides Mewtwo like having a really cool combo or whatever.
This might surprise you of where I'm about to put Ultimate.
Where you trying to put Ultimate, bro? Where you trying to put it?
I would say it's at least up here.
Ooh.
At least.
See, this is the thing, right? With Ultimate, because of how you got to think about how accessible Smash Bros. Is. Smash Bros. is a title that can break through almost every background and demographic. You have people playing Smash Bros. Like in every college campus, every high school, every middle school, every country. It just breaks down barriers. It's the ultimate icebreaker. I feel like Smash Bros. Is that perfect game out of anything in this list. I feel like I could walk around with my Nintendo Switch and a copy of Smash Bros. Ultimate and ask someone to play with me, and they wouldn't look at me like, what the fudge is going on?
I would say at Game Awards where they announced Joker, it was definitely up here.
Yeah.
But then Joker is kind of the new Bayonetta, so it's like, all right, we got to drop it down a little bit.
Like, there's no harm in trying Ultimate. Out of a lot of these titles, I feel like someone might feel like that's too cumbersome to download an emulator allegedly, or find a console to play this thing on, or a community to play this with. I feel like Ultimate really is for even after this console generation, years down the road, we aren't probably getting all the characters that are in this game and all the licenses back. And this is something that's a part of gaming history that you have to try at least once.
Yeah. Soul Edge. Never played it.
Never played.
Soul Calibur 1. Alright, so
I'd say you can skip Soul Calibur 1.
Here's my thing, right? I don't remember which Soul Calibur I played. I know I played 6. But which one had Darth Vader in it? And Yoda?
5, 6? Oh, is it 4?
4?
Were Yoda and Vader in different ones?
No, he isn't 4.
Wait a minute, Vader's 6'8"? Anakin that tall, bro?
Oh shit, I didn't realize. I forgot that this shit was going to the end tier. So guest characters, PlayStation 3, and okay, yeah. So I guess it was 4. But I didn't play any of these 3. I played a little bit of 4, and I don't even think I touched 5, and then like I have 6.
Okay, I played everything from 2 and up. I'd say 2 GameCube version. I feel like you gotta, not really gotta, but like if you get the chance to play it, play it.
2?
Yeah, 2. 2 if you get the chance to play it, play it.
So
And 5 is definitely a can skip, not a must skip, but a can skip. 3,
right.
1 and 3, yeah, you could just skip it. You could just skip it.
1 and 3?
1 and 3.
All right. What about 4?
4.
4, I gotta recommend it just because of Darth Vader.
4, I feel like that's the epitome of like a, to me, it's either you're a competitive player, like you're tryharding, or you know nothing about it and you're spamming buttons with Darth Vader, and like either one of those can be fun. So I feel like you can put it in recommended, but for me, it's
6, I gotta recommend. 6 is
6 is that game that I went from like, I don't know, man. Looking at the rankings of all these other Soul Calibur games, I'm not really the biggest Soul Calibur fan. I might not play it. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm thinking about it. And then I go to Evo and I look at Evo Grand Finals for this thing, and I'm like, yo, I might have to scoop that game. That game is fire. Recommended.
Tekken 2, didn't play it. I didn't start playing Tekken until like Tekken 5 and like Tekken Tag 2. So, yeah. Tekken 5, I played like the arcade version. And Tekken 6, I played the console version with Ronaldo. But, yeah. Mortal Kombat 1.
I played Mortal Kombat 1.
I definitely played Mortal Kombat 1.
That game has not aged well at all, bruh. There are a lot of old heads out here that have reminisced about the game. That game has not aged well at all. Flippin' jab could like kill you just by standing still, bro. You gotta like you have to backwalk outside of someone's jab range before you end up like getting 0 to death.
Oh shit.
Flippin' uppercuts are like just crazy. Flippin' kicks have no range. Special moves are like kind of or like busted. Mortal Kombat, you could skip. I don't expect anybody to say go back and play Mortal Kombat 1. If anyone's talking about playing any of the old Mortal Kombat, it's pretty much just look at the story for the sake of Mortal Kombat
So,
11.
do we want to put 3 through 4 and can skip? Because there's no point in going back and playing it now.
Literally 3 and 4. 3 through 4, 1 through 4. I don't see anybody wanting to go back through those games because it would just be from a lore standpoint. I don't think you're gaining anything from looking at the legacy of those titles. I think I feel like you had to. I think you had to live through it. You had to live through it. Now I wouldn't do it, bro. I wouldn't go back and play those things if someone paid me to do it, bro. It's partially because I'm not an NRS fan.
So I think this is Mortal Kombat 9, which I would put up here. Mortal Kombat 9 was a good ass game.
Is the crossover game with DC in here or not?
I don't think so. I hope not. Cause that's we'll use MKX as that one for right now. That's down there. All right. Yeah, bro, that game was garbage.
This is the thing. That game was garbage, but a lot of kids played it still. That was a game that was trash.
It was a bad game.
Kids still played the fudge out of it for some reason. Like at the Smash Bros tournament I was at, it was Melee. I mean, not Melee. It was Brawl. It was that game, and there was like one third game I can't recall, but it was 3 games at that fighting game tournament. The first one I ever went to, and it was legit. Smash Bros Brawl, the Mortal Kombat crossover game with DC characters, and then some other game that's eluding me right now.
Mortal Kombat X.
For me, but that's because I'm not an NRS fan. But I definitely had a lot of friends back in the day playing that a lot. I was surrounded, not necessarily surrounded, but at least around a lot of MKX. I was aware of MKX.
MK11 is a hard one.
I feel like out of respect, I would put it in recommended. It's not for me. I know it's not for me. But out of respect, I put MK11.
I'm just trying to decide which one of these two I think is better.
Ooh, that's a toughie. I feel like in the long run, looking at all the achievements MKX was able to do with licensing and like how the longevity of that title, MKX lasted a long time.
I'm gonna put this in recommended just because Spawn's coming.
I might go back for Spawn. This is coming from a non-NRS fan. I might actually. Spawn was my dude in Soul Calibur. That's the thing. I played Spawn in Soul Calibur, so I might actually just like jump on over in the MK, playing nothing but Spawn. I'm not
Virtual Fighter 1. Didn't play it.
Never played it.
Tekken 3. Didn't play it.
Tekken 3 could be a must-get for me. I have played Tekken 3. Like most old games, hasn't aged well. It's a thing.
We'll just keep it there. Virtual Fighter 2 didn't play it.
Didn't play it.
Didn't play it.
Didn't play
it. Play it. Didn't play
it. I'm not that old.
MVC 1.
Okay, I'd say this is the thing about all the I'm gonna just do this now for all the Marvel vs. Capcom games. This is a franchise that I think looked cool. It was always there in the background.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
This one I think could go to Can't Skip just because of what followed it.
Yeah.
This one can go to Can't Skip. This one has to be godlike. This one is a must play.
Marvel's all right. Explain.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is just I don't even know how to explain it. It's just there.
It's just there.
It's just so good. And like this one, 3 is close, but it's out of respect for 2, you gotta just put it down 1.
I think 2 is there along with Third Strike because we're talking about one of the most like iconic moments of FGC. You got Justin Wong's comeback, MVC 2. Then you have Daigo Parry and Third Strike.
It's sad that both of those. One is Justin Wong's greatest moment.
Yeah.
And the other is probably his worst moment.
I mean, the thing is, Justin Wong still won the match in the long run, though. That's the thing.
Daigo actually had a match in Canada Cup today, right?
Yeah. And
I saw someone in chat go, Daigo, is that the one that got parried? And someone went, no, he's the one that did the parry. I was like, oh my god.
But yeah, I think MVC 2 is that game that, unfortunately, I never owned a Dreamcast, and a lot of the arcades I went to, like, they used to have.
Yeah, I've only played it in the arcades.
Like, a lot of arcades I went to had a machine, but I never was able to like play it because there was always people at the machine. So I never, as a child, appreciated MVC 2 until I got older and started seeing footage show up in old YouTube of MVC 2 teams. MVC 3 was the game I was like, oh shoot, that's fire. This game is lit. Wait a minute, there's MVC 2? Oh shoot, I remember that. Let me look at some footage of it. And I learned about the legends. I learned about Yipes. I learned about all these other folks. I learned about Justin Wong and all that jazz. Flipping shoot, I'm out of brain fart right now. But other notable players, but like just all that history and all these iconic characters. And I grew up playing X-Men: Children of the Atom, which is the baseline for all these games. So MVC 2 more so than MVC 3, but MVC 2 exposed me to a lot of older fighting games and got me to go back and appreciate the history. Because again, history is key. I feel like with this tier list, is if we're gonna make people who are like, yo, you gotta try this, and this is a game that's before your time, it's for a reason. MVC 2 is there for a reason. MVC 3 is there for a reason.
All right, yeah. DOA, I think it's DOA 1.
I never played DOA 1.
I'm trying to think. I can put 6 in never played yet because it came out recently and I still watched it. So I'd put that there. Tekken Tag 1. I didn't play Tekken Tag. I played Tekken Tag 2, but not Tekken Tag 1.
Oh yeah.
Did you play it at all?
Tekken Tag 1. I played Tekken Tag 1. I'd put that in eh. Like a lot of old Tekken titles have like a really not choppy, but it's just slow. It's almost like you're moving through water, and like it can work for someone who grew up in that day and age. Like Virtual Fighter has a similar like movement speed with it, but as someone who's played Tekken 5 and onward, it's kind of, or Tekken 4 and onward actually, it's kind of weird. It's a weird feeling.
Okay. Tekken 4.
Tekken 4, I don't want to say can't. I want to say can't skip. Let's just can't skip. You can skip Tekken 4. You can skip Tekken 4.
Tekken 5, I think is recommended.
Recommended or eh. I'd definitely say recommended because this is the one that got me to be a King main as a kid in the arcade. This was the one I was like, you know what? King is cool. I like that, and I just kind of kept that in the back of my head, and that was kind of. And I skipped Tekken 6. Never played Tekken 6. Never played Tekken Tag 2 because those were the ones I saw competitive gameplay for. But Tekken 4 and Tekken 5 planted the seeds of me liking King and to Tekken 7.
Tekken 6.
I didn't play it. I say never played for me or Well, actually no, I played that with Ronaldo. I put it in.
That was the one I definitely picked Bob and made people upset.
I didn't feel any. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Besides that event, I don't feel any connection to that game. You know.
Tekken Tag 2, I definitely recommend.
Oh really?
Yeah, I like Tekken Tag 2.
I know you played Tag 2.
I played Tag 2. It was on PS3, I think. Let me fact check. Yep.
Yeah.
PS3.
It was on Wii U. Holy fudge.
Damn. Yeah, I like Tekken Tag 2. It was pretty fun.
To me, Tag 2 is that game that like.
That was definitely a game though that I started playing after I played Tekken 5 in the arcades, and I went to a friend's house to play Tekken Tag 2.
Okay, so Tag 2 for me was that game that, at this point, I've already become a fan of fighting games. I still don't own any like competitive major fighting games that we see up here on this tier list. But I'm a aficionado. I know of like certain character lores. I think they look cool, and I'm watching tournaments on Twitch now at this point, or at least YouTube VODs. And I'm not really a fan of like how kind of scummy high level play of this game looks, which discouraged me from playing it or buying it for myself.
Tekken 7, I would say could be up here, but I gotta pay $4 for frame data. It was right here.
Oh my gosh, the soul is real. I would have put that at Godlike, dog. I feel like
I'm kidding.
$4.99. You really gonna put $4 out of top tier? Oh shoot. Man, that's cold, dog.
I should have just left.
You should have left it in must play. I don't know why you copped out.
What was this? DOA 2, I think.
I never played it.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, I think I only played DOA 5. I'm pretty sure.
I've only seen Dead or Alive gameplay. I've never actually played. Actually, no, DOA 5 I played. I played it once.
So we're just gonna move all these good ass DOA games. DOA 5, I would just hot button
I mean, this is the thing.
I feel like I didn't play enough of it to make an opinion.
I didn't play enough of it, and I feel like if I'm assuming all of these, you know, if you're the same opinion I am as a heterosexual male, you know, like I'm mainly there because this is the first fighting game that showed me jiggle physics, and at this point, like if you want jiggle physics like that, just watch hentai, bro. Just move on. Put it in go watch hentai.
You see, I wasn't born before these games.
I wasn't born before these games, but I did go back and play a lot of these. For me, King of Fighters, again, just like with I said earlier when we talked about King of Fighters 15, this is a genre of games like I think looks cool. It's aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but playing it was like I never felt like I was doing it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like until we get to 13, I feel like you got to put all these in like can skip or never played, and then like 13 and up is like or like you can try it. You can try it.
All right, 13. I don't know.
The sprite work looks amazing. The music is cool. I just don't get it. I just don't. As a player, I can't get King of Fighters until we got.
We know what, we're just gonna leave King of Fighters and never played because I feel like we just haven't played it enough.
We haven't played it enough. I guess we haven't played it enough. I played casual. I think the most out of all that I played is King of Fighters 14. I played the most of, and even still, I feel like it's not enough.
Blaze Blue. See, it doesn't have which one.
I'm just assuming Central Fiction, the most current, or just all the Blaze Blue in general since Arxis lost the licensing for Guilty Gear.
I would definitely put it in
Yeah. I think,
just because of these games that are coming up next.
Like, Blaze Blue would have been recommended, but then looking at all the other anime coming before it and coming after it, Blaze Blue in a long run to me will be No disrespect, but that's just what it is.
Guilty Gear, the first one.
Guilty Gear 1, you could skip it.
Must skip or can't skip?
You can skip. I wouldn't say must skip. You can.
Guilty Gear X, I feel like is a eh.
That's an eh. That's an eh.
Guilty Gear Double X.
Recommended. I'd say that's like all these Guilty Gear games. They're like $2 on Steam. They're literally like.
I feel like they
$5.
just. I feel like you just gradually go up.
You move up. Like Guilty Gear XX, fire, but it's not like you gotta do it. I feel
could
like
be here just based on the soundtrack.
on the soundtrack, yeah. Like Guilty Gear.
I would say the XR as a whole, not just Rev 2 or Rev.
The XR series, you gotta try once.
Sign out of all of them probably is the best songs. I think Sign soundtrack rivals XX. If I'm being honest with you.
Oh shoot. I think that's the reason why I probably stuck with Sign and like got so deep into playing that game. It's because of how fire the soundtrack.
Sign has a good ass soundtrack.
I think Sign has I think Guilty Gear XR, that series has good character design. It has basically, you get a free anime with the movie. You get a whole animated movie with the game. You get a whole album worth of music. You get colors up the wazoo. Really good tutorials throughout the franchise. You know.
Just using this original KI for an example. Quick. So Guilty Gear 1, X, XX, XR. This has got to be where Guilty Gear 2020 is.
Guilty Gear 2020 gotta go up there, bro. If Guilty Gear 2020,
if we're taking a step up every single one, 2020's got to be right here.
Yeah.
BB Tag. I'm conflicted.
Right now, I would put it in eh. It's not a bad and like, oh, that's bad. I'd honestly put that probably in the front of eh. Yeah, I was just saying. I could definitely see BB
It's
Tag.
definitely not in order of what is it. Oh, this is a high eh. We're putting it in order.
If we were doing order,
where we got it.
If we were doing it in order, I would definitely put BB Tag in high eh. It's not recommended quite yet. It's not. There's something missing. I can't really put my finger on what element is missing, but there's clearly something missing.
Don't worry, Malik. Akatsuki is coming soon, and then it'll be. Then it'll be there. All right. It's just gonna skip us here.
Can you stop reading my mind, please? I definitely wanted to say Akatsuki's not in the game yet, and I was like, let me not say that.
All right, Eunice. Honestly, the tutorial is what makes it there. If I'm being honest,
I want to put Eunice in Godlight. I'm gonna just say must play for now. Let's wait for Uniclear. Once Uniclear comes out,
the tutorial can put it here by itself.
Oh boy, I think the only issue with the Eunice tutorial is the fact that it looks too overbearing from the menu standpoint.
Okay.
Like, I feel like the Guilty Gear tutorial is digestible enough that it's putting it into small games that don't look like it's a tutorial anymore, while the Under Night tutorial, you're comfortable with it because you appreciate the level of detail it's going into, but you're also coming at it as someone who's already aware of the gist of the information you're getting. It's cliff notes for you, rather than I need to take a test and the cliff notes is all I have. You know?
Okay.
And that's how I view the Under Night tutorial. The Under Night tutorial is really fire for someone who's like, yeah, I just need the gist of it so I can get the hang of it and get into battle. And when I want to go into the nitty gritty, I can. But Guilty Gear is literally like, you are a dumb baby, bubble blowing baby that knows absolutely nothing, and you just want to see pretty colors and like hit buttons. I feel like that carries you a lot more. There's also actual narration in English going on, rather than like Japanese weeaboo subtitles and a lot of reading. You know, if I showed that Under Night tutorial to Dustin 4 years ago, you most likely would not have done that Under Night tutorial. You would have looked at that long menu, you'd be like, oh hell no, I gotta read when I press the beginner segment. I feel like I'm being babied right now. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
You become pretty patient in that amount of time with your block strings and this. Wow. Is that because of GT Goku?
Just because of GT Goku, Bardock, Vegito.
Yo, this is the one. This is the one right here.
This is the one I've been dreading.
This is the one, like, because this is the thing. Launch Dragon Ball Fighters. But Dragon Ball Fighters is what Guilty Gear 2020 is to me right now. That's the messiah of anime fighters. Dragon Ball Fighters was supposed to be the chosen one, and it ended up becoming like this borderline Darth Vader shit to me. Where like I love this game, but I don't want to play it anymore because I'm tired. I'm so tired. Like I'm like Street Fighter 5 was that game. Street Fighter 5 was the I want to get good. I love this game. Problems are arising slowly but surely, and I hate playing Street Fighter 5 now, but I still love it low key. Dragon Ball Fighters is becoming the same thing. Where like I love this game. I started out loving it. I want to endorse it. I bought it 3 times. I want to support Arxis. I want to support this FGC and everything. But as I slowly play the game more and more, the more I'm like, this game is toxic, and I don't want to play it anymore. And I don't want to have to convert my team to be GT Goku or Bardock. Insert character here. Insert anchor here. Insert new character that hasn't been patched yet here. I think Arxis needs to work on its formula with patching the game, or at least giving everyone an equal playing field, because everyone I feel prior to the major nerf patch a year ago was fine. Everyone had their own little bit of cheese. Yes, there was Cell, Adult Gohan, but that was because everyone liked playing those characters after the first nerf they had. The second nerf, where everyone was like baseline, was like, okay, it's fair, everyone's on an equal playing field. But then you had Bardock still being Bardock, and then you had a bunch of DLC characters coming left and right afterwards that are all busted because they haven't been nerfed yet. So that skewed a lot of the tournament showings, and that's because tournament showings show one thing that leads to noobs and intermediate level players copying the higher level players. By proxy, playing those characters I get tired of seeing, and that's really hurting me. And because I'm in a salty mood, I want to put it in
I think it's gotta be recommended.
You gotta just put it low recommended. I put it in low recommended. Low to mid.
Original KI.
Can skip the It's not bad.
This one is recommended.
Yeah, that's recommended. That's good netcode right there. That's good netcode.
I can't remember. Did KI use GGPO?
I want to say it was a different distribution of GGPO. Like it wasn't actually just straight up GPPO. Don't quote me on that. But KI has good netcode. It's actually really, really, really good. Injustice.
Yeah. Injustice 2 though, I gotta put it in recommended.
I think Injustice 2 for the roster's sake is recommended, but the game still to me is Again, I'm biased. I don't like NRS games.
So this Okay. I say we use some filler games for. So like, Shrek. Let's make Skullgirls.
Skullgirls. Okay.
Skullgirls gotta be.
I feel like that's borderline must play. That's top recommended.
You know what? We're gonna put Shrek Super Slam as must play. That's Skullgirls. That is Skullgirls. Let's see. Crunch Time Explosion. What game is missing from this list that I think should be on here? I don't know. I feel like I know there's definitely something, but I just can't think of what it is.
You can open up. Let me open up my Steam. Let's see if there's anything we're missing. You just do that as Mugen. All Mugen fighters.
This is Brawlhalla. Brawlhalla is Actually, Brawlhalla is recommended.
It's free to play. No harm.
This one will keep as PlayStation All Stars, and it's got like. That is our tier list.
You gotta be shizzing me right now. You gotta get the.
I'm kidding.
Put it in, like not actually must skip. Nah, bro, must skip. I hated that game.
Kids.
Nah, Musk. I hated
Bro.
that game. That was the biggest waste of a PlayStation roster I've ever seen.
If you played Kratos, it's like that.
No, dude.
If you
that
didn't
game
play
was
Kratos,
trash.
it was like that.
That game was trash, dude. Literally, it was so trash. I kept thinking, as a child, this isn't even like an adult that's like, oh, I know what I'm doing because I'm a gamer. I know what's right. And my opinions are. No, this is a small child. Like, I love every character in this roster besides Fat Princess because I don't know where the fudge this thing is from. I hated playing that game. I went to the store every weekend with my family to go shopping. I used to try playing the demo to see if it's just me, and it just felt like this isn't really a game. This feels like something else. This is not something you make kids buy. This is something you give the kids you hate. Like, you tried to copy Nintendo and you failed miserably, but like the kids that bought it aren't gonna tell you that. They're gonna be like indifferent about it.
All right, I think that's our tier list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll save here in a second so I can send to you. I think that basically wraps up our first episode. Malik, is there anything you'd like to say?
Thank you all for supporting this show. If you made it this far into the episode, I'm gonna chop it up, put some clips out. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitch.
Yeah, follow us on Twitch. At this one, my personal Twitch is twitch.tv/kbriefs. Malik's is twitch.tv/king_Kaniani, which is hard as fuck to spell, but yeah. Go follow our group YouTube where there's two other guys at SFSW.
See, you even messed it up.
We'll have a Breezy Briefs Show YouTube as well. You go subscribe to us there. And I think that is about it.
Blase, blase, blah. If you want to hear more FGC stuff, you'll be back. You'll be back. Here's the dime bag. You'll be back. You better be back. Peace out.
Of course. Am I doing the intro or are you doing the intro?
You're doing the intro because you're doing the stream.
Okay. I thought you did the intro since you're recording and you would know when you hit start.
I've already hit start. I'm just an audio file, but just cut it anyway. Okay, you know what? In that case, I'll do the intro. I'm gonna do the intro. I'm gonna be assertive. Matter of fact, open up the OBS live stream thing before I forget to mention it. I don't want to like say segue or whatever.
Wait, let me turn this off.
So that way I can take a sip of water, make sure my throat is clear, turn up for like 2 seconds.
Oh my god.
Dustin doesn't want the hype part of the show, the intro. I'm trying to throw
as long as you don't say what's going up YouTube, I don't care. Okay?
Alright, so you ready for me to do the intro now?
Yes, I've been ready for you to do the intro.
I'm sorry, I
just been like 10 minutes.
I've just been talking. I thought you were I heard you clicking. I don't know if you click in settings or not. My fault.
Bro.
We gotta work on communication. My bad. Alright. Let me
I already took the pre-show shit off the screen, yo.
Alright, for the record, let me ask, Dustin, are you ready for me to do the intro now?
Yes.
Is that okay if I do the intro?
I'm ready for the intro.
In that case, hush him out. 1, 2, 3, go. What's good, everybody? It's the KB Show.
That's not what we're called.